Basics of law and what is estates in reversion. A short overview that will incorporate a lot of different aspects in brief form. I will then discuss different areas in more detail to hopefully give you a basic understanding. To start off, law is an agreement. Every person individually must give acceptance for them to be bound by that law. No law is binding unless both parties agree. Are you aware of any agreements you have made? Probably not. Because in English law nowadays we are assumed to agree to it, and that assumption is confirmed by our actions. The entire United Nations/Commonwealth are bound by English law, which means all that we will be discussing is applicable in all those 193 countries. It would be a good start if we can understand that English law is created by the ownership of lands and the transfer of lands to a party so that they can manage/take care of those lands for us, until we are ready to take care of them ourselves. There are three types of laws within English law that we need to understand: natural law, common law, and equity law. It's worth mentioning that equity has many laws and jurisdictions created off the back of it, and thus they do not supersede common law. Once you have agreements in equity, however, it takes priority over common law. To understand how English law works, we also need to recognize four different classes of people/capacities within it: donor, monarchy, government, and citizen. The donor is a natural man. Think of a newborn baby. The donors are the true owners of the land, all land bound by English law. For now, the other three classes/capacities are self-explanatory. One thing I want to point out before discussing the creation of laws is that when a new law is created, you also must create new words and meanings to those words for that law. What that means is, the same word may have different meanings depending on what law it is represented in. For example, real in equity law is the actual thing, but you only have a use of that thing. You can't have true ownership. Real in common law is your absolute right held in trust to lands. Real is lands and all immovable things. It is vital that you keep this understanding in mind always. The first creation of English law is the donation of lands from the donor to the monarchy. This created common law. The donor grants all lands with a use only, not true ownership, to the monarchy. This donation was done via a land trust. Our live registration of birth is proof of this contract, and our birth certificate is our acceptance of it. The monarchy then created corporations, government, and thus creating equity law. The monarchy has a different trust/tenure with the government, where they donate the lands with only a use again, as they do not have true ownership themselves, only a use. Therefore no one can give away true ownership as it is retained for the donor. Now it's the government that oversee the managing of the lands, and this is all done in equity, so anything the government says is only applicable in equity jurisdiction. So when they give you your title deeds, this is also a deed of acceptance to the system, to the lands, and you have paid your mortgage off. You own a use for a fee only. Not true ownership, as the government never had true ownership themselves. So now we can see the creation of common law and equity law. Let's bring in the fourth capacity mentioned earlier, the citizen. The donor, through various means, volunteers to the government to be the citizen. What this means is, you give up your true ownership as donor and become a subject in equity. You now have given up your natural rights and take on rights and duties. You are also 3 degrees away from your first appointment as donor. What this means in trust law is, you cannot dispute the original trust between the donor and monarchy until you release from your rights and duties as the citizen and stand in common law once again as donor. We will go into all this in much greater detail should you wish to continue considering looking further into it, but for now, I want to explain the purpose of looking further into reversion is. If we understand what has just been discussed, it is easy to understand what reversion is. Reversion is you claiming back the lands granted to the monarchy in the trust after releasing from your rights, duties, and all agreements/contracts as citizen. There is more to understand than just the above, however. Claiming your lands also comes with great responsibility that not every citizen may be capable of. or want for that matter. When claiming our land, we are saying that we can provide for ourselves, be self-sustainable, self-sufficient. We will not look to the equity system to support us, we will build a community with new laws and ways for the many generations to come. This is not about claiming lands and continuing as you live today, for that is more than likely going to get you back into the agreements you have just released from. We want true freedom, our liberty, the ability to grow a community built from love and treat each man as equal, as the nature of natural law suggests. There will be no need for greed, for we will have all that we need, the land to provide good homes and good food and the people to make it happen, together. As we own the lands, we would not need to pay the government a fee, for the fruits of our labor are ours and ours alone. We will maintain the lands, replenish the soil so we can grow healthy food for us and all the generations to come. Use 10 trees for building and plant 15. Everyone would have something to bring to the table, whether it be someone knitting our clothes, someone looking after our horses, or someone growing our food. We need not extort one another as the corporations do today. We only want what we need to be able to live and enjoy life as it should be appreciated.